Who's ready to get a little bit better? If so, say yes. Man, I know some of you, maybe this is the first video you've ever watched with me and you're like, why is he always like so loud? Truth is, I'm actually consistent. Ask my wife and kids. It kind of backfires on me sometimes because I'll correct my kids because they're being loud and inappropriate times. And they're like, but Dad, you can't, you're always loud. And I'm like, they don't get the differentiation between appropriate times and inappropriate times. I suppose one could argue that walking into Walmart with your family is an inappropriate time, but in my mind, to embarrass teenage children, it isn't exactly a good time to get loud. Woo! And when you do that, and like the kids, it's great. My point is, this kind of goes to where we're going to go today, because some of you, you don't have a lot of energy. In fact, you keep consistently hitting a wall that like stops you in your tracks, a wall that you feel completely depleted, a wall that is overwhelm, a wall that is, I can't get it all done, I want to quit, a wall that is like, I'm at the end of myself and I don't have the energy, I don't have the desire, I don't have the motivation. And so the question becomes, why do I keep hitting the wall? Like, what is it about what I'm doing that I keep going through this negative cycle and like, I get energy, whoa, let's go. And then that works for a little bit. And then I hit the wall again. And then maybe you crash, maybe you back up and you take a break. Maybe you fire all your clients, you quit your job. I don't know what you do, but somehow you regroup. And then you're like, yeah, I'm ready to go after life again. I'm ready to go after it. And you're like, whoa, and you go. And then you hit a wall again. And some of you right now, even as I'm talking, you are recognizing this cycle in your life with a new level of clarity, because maybe you've never heard anybody talk about it quite like this. And I'd like to talk to that. Well, why do you keep hitting the wall? And I touched on kind of what I want to talk about months ago when I did a video, but I want to come back to it because I've been talking a lot about this in my masterminds lately and for several weeks. And there's something that happens in those mastermind environments. Again, you can a whole lot of versions of masterminds. The masterminds that I have in my community, small group, 5 to 8 people, deep relationships, high levels of trust, and high levels of accountability. Right? And so in those environments, and you got these high-level people that are growing, that are going after, and you got some groups that are more like people just starting in the entrepreneurial journey, or they're doing their side hustle, whatever it is. But you hear all these different perspectives, and it's just a powerful environment. And so we've been talking about this very thing, framed a little different, but here's my answer to you. Why do you keep hitting the wall? It's because you don't have consistent rhythms in your life. You don't have rhythm. You ain't got no rhythm. Like, you're either like pedal to the metal going, or maybe you're doing nothing. So maybe you're an all or nothing kind of person, but you much more often are running on the all side of it. And so it's pedal to the metal. And so we've been talking about rhythm a lot. And I just want to share a few thoughts with you for your consideration when it comes to rhythm in our life. And so, some people are like, hey, you need balance, you need balance. I don't prefer that language because, like, if you're talking about balance, that means equality. So if I'm going to have balance in my life, that means I need to spend equal amount of time with my family, as at work, as working on my own health or working on my own personal development. And there's no equality there. If you're running a business, you're going to put, dozens of hours into that. If some of you are like, no, I got a 4-hour work week. Good for you. But most people, it's going to take time. And so there's not equality, but there can be rhythm. There can be an ebb and flow to your life that is sustainable. And so here's what I would say to you when it comes to hitting the wall. You cannot have consistent, or maybe sustainable is a better word, sustainable energy and vitality in your life without consistent rhythm and rest. Let me say it again. You can have sustainable energy and vitality without consistent rhythm and rest. You've got to make a conscious decision to bring that rhythm into your life to create windows of rest. Now, I'm not giving you a scapegoat, easy excuse here to be lazy. No. Like, if you're watching these videos, like, you're growth-minded, you're going after it, you want to achieve some things, you want to make a difference in the world, but you can't always be giving. You can't always be producing. You've got to take some time to fill your tank, to rest, to replenish, to refuel. That's the kind of rhythm and rest that I'm talking about. And so let me just put a couple frames around this. If you're going to think about rhythm, step one, like, look at your life and evaluate your rhythms. And the simple way to do this, I think I talked about this before, but just worth repeating. Repetition is the motor of learning. So think about your rhythms in 4 different categories. What are your rhythms daily? What are your rhythms weekly? What are your rhythms monthly? And what are your rhythms yearly? And when you start to look at those 4 categories, you're going to start to see, oh, I'm doing good here. I'm not. You're going to identify the gaps. And so some of you might have some great rhythms daily, but you got no rhythm monthly. In fact, when I did this exercise myself a while ago, that's what I saw. I was like, man, I'm doing really good daily, and I'm doing really pretty good weekly, although I saw some additions there, but I'm not doing as much monthly. And I was like, man, I could work on that. And yearly, I was doing pretty good. So you'll start to see the gaps. And so don't just think about it. Some of you, I see you. You're like, oh yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. Good for you. Write it down. Put it in your phone. Document it, because there's something that happens when it gets out of your head onto paper or onto a document, and you can see it more clearly. You will see the gaps, all right? Now, here's the 3 categories I would encourage you to look at. What are your rhythms personally? What are your rhythms in your key relationships? If you're married, you have kids. Like, if you're not married or have kids, like key relationships, friendships, maybe team members, maybe other family members, like immediate family members. So what are your rhythms personally for you? What are your rhythms in your key relationships? And then lastly, what are your rhythms in your business or your vocation, your career? So if you look at those 3 categories, now, honestly, first pass at this, I would encourage you to focus on the first 2, on what are your rhythms personally and what are your rhythms in your key relationships. Because you and your key relationships are the foundation in your life. If you and your key relationships are not thriving, then who cares about how great your rhythms are in business, because you're the foundation. And those key relationships are what are going to bring you support. In fact, some of you would much prefer to talk about the rhythms in your business. Oh yeah, I need to switch up my meeting schedule, and I need to revamp my schedule so I can get some bigger time blocks for some deep work stuff, and I need to grow my team, and I need to do this for sales. And you'd love to talk about the rhythms of your business, but you have been neglecting the rhythms for you personally and the rhythms in your key relationships. You have been neglecting the rhythms for you personally and in your key relationships. I just want that one to sink in. I want somebody watching this video to wrestle with the truth that you've been avoiding and neglecting those 2 areas. You have not been taking care of yourself, and you haven't been taking care of your relationship. And if you don't give some attention to that, you're going to make a whole bunch of money and lose your life. It's up to you. Will you wrestle with that? Do you have the guts to lean into the uncomfortable conversations and make some changes that you need to make? So, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, look at those categories. Look in these 3 areas: personal, key relationships, and your business or your vocation. Now, let me take this a little further. You cannot make up for crappy, negligent, weak rhythms daily and weekly by having awesome rhythms yearly. Man, we do a great vacation for a week, even 2 weeks every year, and it's amazing. And we go on spring break, and it's amazing. Good for you. That's awesome. Keep doing those things. But if your daily rhythms and your weekly rhythms suck, I can guarantee you, you're living for vacation, spring break. You're living for those things, and you're not getting as much out of those experiences as you could. And when you Like you're busting your butt to get out the door to go on those trips. And then when you come back, you're dreading coming back because you ain't got no rhythm in your daily and weekly life. So here's how I would say it. Your daily and weekly rhythms are the foundation for a high quality of life. If daily and weekly sucks, your life's going to suck. Or you might say, well, it doesn't suck. I love my life. But you keep hitting the wall. And do you want to keep hitting the wall? No, you don't. But by the way, I love you. I feel like I'm being a little aggressive with you today, but I care about you. And man, like I've been having conversations for weeks with my mastermind clients, my one-on-one clients, and I hurt for some of you because this is not that complicated. It's really actually quite simple. You just have to get intentional about how you're going to structure your life and create some rhythm to it. Give yourself permission to rest a little bit so that you can serve the world at a higher level. So you can make more money. Like I want you to make more money. I want you to enjoy the journey. I want you to enjoy your life. But unless you get that consistent rhythm and rest, you're not going to have that sustainable energy and vitality or a high quality of life. So you can't make up for weak, daily, and weekly rhythms by going on an awesome vacation. It just doesn't work that way. So give attention to those daily and weekly. So I hope that I know this wasn't like 3 points in a poem here. Like I'm just kind of giving it to you because guys, this is such a key area. I want you to thrive. And by the way, hitting the wall, do you know why I'm talking about this so aggressively? Is because I lived that way for years. I know the pain. There was a season, excuse me, there was a season in my life where my wife could mark it on the calendar that I was going to get sick in January because I would bust my butt. This is a repeatable rhythm that you don't want to duplicate, okay? But it was consistent. I had a rhythm, bust my butt for November and December, high season, big projects, lots going on, and then Mark gets sick for a week, like knocked on his butt sick because he was so depleted, and that is not a rhythm that I wanted to sustain. And when I was talking about that vacation thing, that was me. Like I'd get on vacation and I'd be so wound up. It took me 3 days to unwind. And then I'd get to enjoy a day or two. And then my stomach would start turning in knots, creating physical symptoms in my body. That's all I'm going to say about that. When I started thinking about coming back. I lived there, guys. I know the pain of it. And I'm telling you, what I'm sharing with you is not complicated. And you can create so much freedom in your life by simply getting intentional. And so write it down, type it up. I don't care. Get clear. Identify the gaps and then say, okay, what am I going to do to fill the gaps? What am I going to do? And for me, one of mine was in my relationships. I realized I was doing good in my personal weekly and daily rhythms. Well, excuse me, in my daily rhythms, I was locked in. My morning routine, journaling, affirmations, moving my body, locked in, right? I was so grateful for that. It took me a whole lot of years to lock it in, by the way. But I realized that I needed to be more intentional in my family rhythms when it came to daily. And then weekly, I realized I needed to be more intentional for myself and for my family. And so I started looking at some of those things. So I hope that you'll have some of those ahas if you'll do the work and walk through that exercise. That is the challenge on the table. If you're committed to doing it, type yes in the comments right now. Come on, type yes, because you're going to create rhythm in your life and enjoy your life at a higher level, make a bigger difference in the world. I think that's why we're all here. That's why I'm here. So I hope that this helped you, encouraged you, maybe challenged you a little bit to deal with some stuff you haven't been dealing with. That is my hope and my prayer. This is where you should get off this video and go out there and give your greatness to the world because somebody needs what's on the inside of you. Go give it away. I love y'all. Have a great week.